Greetings and salutations to our fine podcast audience. Welcome to 3 Ps in a Pod. You're watching episode 300.
We made it.
Did we? We made it.
We made it.
All the way to 300.
You said it like you questioned
Like I questioned it.
I know.
I
You're the one
questioned
who
it.
said
I heard the question mark in your voice.
Well, I will tell you this. When we started this podcast, way back in the year of 2018, maybe?
No, we
2019?
no.
We started in 2020.
2020.
but just
January
before,
2020.
just before
It was
the
just before
I
the
actually
pandemic.
think we did have a December 2019 episode.
Okay.
Producer
So
Charlie
I
can
was
figure
right
that
on the
out.
2019.
He's gonna figure it out for us.
But I will say, if
I
you
would've
had
never thought
said,
we'd be
hey, we're going to do 300 of these,
and we're gonna be doing this for 6 years, I would have never thought.
and we would live through a global pandemic,
Yes.
and that we would all be where we are doing what we're doing.
Don't you mean pandemic? No. I'm sorry for bringing it up.
We're not that podcast, Ed.
Okay.
That is not for here.
I'm sorry. And then don't think you know what I think by what I just said. I'm sorry.
You should.
I just have people say that to me.
I
I'm like,
know. We're not going there.
okay.
But I was not expecting to be doing it this long.
No, that's true. I would have never thought. And there's been a lot of different versions of the podcast over
Oh,
300
huge.
episodes.
Oh, different.
We didn't have a name till like somewhere in the 200s. Somewhere in the
Probably.
200s is when
Probably.
we got it.
I think Charlie was a producer when we finally got a name.
Yeah,
He was.
yeah.
Well,
We've had several producers.
We've had several producers.
Yeah. We've been through Joel and Bill.
Bill
And
and
Charlie.
Sawyer.
Oh.
Sawyer.
Sawyer was one. Sawyer, who still listens to the podcast.
Does he?
He texted me the other day, and he brought up, when I brought up letting my kids watch The Good Doctor, but not The Pit. Whatever that was like
Yeah.
3 or 4 episodes.
That would be something that would matter to you.
And he texted me, and I said, I didn't know you still listen. He goes, oh, yeah, I still listen.
I miss Sawyer.
So there you go. I miss
So,
Sawyer as well.
that's right.
So that's what I told him.
I guess I have to say it too, Sawyer. I miss you as well.
So,
He would have called you if you hadn't. No.
Text me. You got my number.
He does.
That's right.
He does. So, all right. So, as I said on episode 299 last week, we had some announcements to make about some changes we're going to make
That's true.
to the podcast. And I don't know, maybe that makes you a little nervous out there in podcast audience land.
Boy,
Maybe
if it is.
you don't want us to change anything.
if
you're nervous
you
about
should
this,
go see
please.
Jason.
Yeah, I was
Jason
gonna
is
say,
about to be fully licensed. You
Nothing
can
we're
go see
doing
him.
should make you nervous.
If that makes you nervous, then you
Yeah,
gotta
you need to
just
sit.
stop listening to the
Just-
podcast.
That's
we
right.
we need to sit with that feeling just for a
That's
bit.
true. Why is it that podcasts make you nervous?
That's right. What is it? What is you're afraid of?
That's right.
So, who wants to talk about the change? You want to talk about the changes, Nathan? You want to
Sure.
you want to take the lead on that?
Yeah, I think so. For the last, I can't. When do you think we started primarily answering questions?
I
Oh,
think
it's been a while.
April
Oh,
2024.
You're making that up. Stop.
And that would be a
You don't know.
terrible guess. You
You
think we've
don't.
only been answering questions for 2 years? No, I think it's somewhere early in the first, because we early on planned a lot of the episodes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Because
I
we-
remember.
You should go back and watch them and see
Remember
were they
the-
better or worse.
Remember the top 5?
Oh yeah.
We
We
do
did.
top
We did a
fives.
top 5
Oh, yeah.
thing every week.
Each one of us brought in a question that the other one didn't know about and
Yeah.
something that we had to respond to.
That's right.
Yes. But then at some point, we were getting so many questions
Yeah, that's right.
that we were like, "Bah, maybe we can just start answering questions every week on
And
the
we
podcast.
did. Yeah.
But over really the last few years, we've actually been meeting lots of people who come to our church and are new to our church. And when they come in and we talk to them about, hey, how'd you hear about the church? How'd you end up here? Many people will tell us, oh, they didn't necessarily hear about the church from the podcast, but when they heard about the church and went on Google to find us, or many people just find the church just by Googling churches in my area. And then they find us. When they would check us out, they would listen to many episodes of the podcast. They would tell us, I've listened to,
And they still showed up.
yes. And many of them were like, I liked what I heard. And I thought, okay, great.
Yeah.
But as our church often does, our church staff, we'll go through and we'll kind of say, hey, how are we doing at reaching people who are far from God, people who, how can we better do that and better serve the needs of people who are far from God? And we kind of said, hey, we need to think about if there's a lot of people who are listening to the podcast where they show up, we should maybe put more thought into what we're doing
And to
than
speaking
what
to
we
those
currently do, which is often we walk into this room having Charlie has printed off the
Okay,
questions we
paper.
got, and that's the
We
first.
talk about it for a few minutes before we film, and then we answer.
hit record.
That's
and
right.
then we
That's
get right into
Hey, so you getting the real us. That's all we
it's a
got.
real deal.
It's the real deal.
So we talked about what
That's
are
what we should have called the podcast. This is us.
This us. I think they've already taken that.
They've already got
TV
that.
show
I
somewhere.
remember that.
Remember that
not
one?
good
I
search
read it.
engine optimization.
No, it's not.
We
That
would
one-
get lost.
Show that went too long.
So we want to speak better to the people who are yet to find our church and who are watching or listening to the podcast to check us out.
Yeah. Part of what we do, like any other group. I even think about your family does this, which is when you're going to have somebody visit
Mhm.
that doesn't know your family all that well. You're going. I'm gonna have a coworker over for dinner. We're gonna have we just got new neighbors. We're gonna invite them over for dinner. You don't tend to go 2 minutes before they arrive. Oh my goodness, we should think about what the house looks like, and we should think about what we're going to have for dinner. And there are things I make for my kids that I don't make when other people come over because I go, I don't know if everyone likes that thing
Yeah,
that we
sure.
make, and I don't know if everyone thinks this way. And we tend to often eat dinner at least, not lunch, but we'll eat dinner and everyone's kind of in pajamas or sweatpants or whatever. But if someone's coming over, we're going to put something else on and,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
I don't have to dress up for the podcast, do I?
No, that's true. No, I was going to
That's
say.
the big change. We're going to be in pajamas.
We're all wearing pajamas.
3 P's
In pajamas. That's a P. Oh, that's bad.
And so part of what our church staff does regularly is we think through, hey, if someone is
I don't have any pajamas.
That's not a conversation we need to have.
And
on
in
the
his
podcast.
boxers. That's what he's
That's
got.
not the conversation we need
I
to have.
don't have any.
Our church staff regularly will think about when somebody who doesn't believe in God or is just new to our area and wants to come and find a church, we try to think of what's their experience going to be like. And people who've been around our church forever have heard us talk about stuff like this before. And so that's why in our services, we sit and we think through, hey, we're going to explain why we sing and we're going to explain why we take communion. And even in our sermons, we try to, a lot of the time is us trying to explain, hey, when we talk about the book of, I just preached out of Colossians, I'm going to say this is a letter that's written. This isn't just some magical book that appeared. We're going to try and explain it to people because we're thinking, like when you invite someone over, there are things we're going to do. They're going to be a little weird to people, but we want to do it in a way that they would understand. And we realized we have not given that treatment to the podcast. We have not given the treatment to the podcast of, if somebody's very first experience with our church was watching the three of us talk, maybe we should think about what would we want them to hear. And so that's not to say that we won't still answer questions or we won't still be us, but our hope
And that what we say won't apply or matter to the people who do attend.
absolutely in the same way that we hope our church services do.
Exactly. Same way.
And so we want to be able to still, in our church services, elevate Jesus. The reason we gather is not solely for the person who doesn't know. We gather for the sake of Jesus.
Amen.
And we gather to love one another and to grow together. But we always do that with in mind our desire to draw people who aren't in the community. And the podcast can be the same way. And so one of the big shifts we're going to go to is we're going to go back to something we actually kind of did early on. I think it was the very first thing we did in the podcast is we're going to kind of do some deeper dives into what we talk about on Sundays. Because we put a lot of effort, whether it appears that way or not, we put a lot of at least thought and planning into what are the things we either think our church needs to be talking about right now, or what do we think people who are new to faith need to hear so that they can kind of accept the gospel and kind of choose to follow Jesus. We put a lot of thought into that. And we thought there's no reason for us to be putting additional thought into, now, what are other things people might want to hear on a podcast? Whereas what we could do on the podcast is jump into, and the way that our producer Charlie said it is, we might be doing some things that are, but what about this?
That's right. I hear that almost every Sunday from people.
Sure.
It's when I speak too. They'll come up and go, "Hey, I loved what you said, but I was thinking, what about this situation? Or what does
Yes.
it look like in this context, what you were talking?" And it's great. It's nuance that you can't always get to when you're just directly addressing it on a Sunday.
Yes, and there are frequently things that I have to take out of sermons,
Yeah.
that I have to cut down just for the sake of time. Because like yesterday, I went long second service, and I knew our children's ministry volunteers love kids, but there comes a point where they go, "I've been stuck in this room now for a little while, and if Nathan keeps going, we're going to have some problems."
Yes.
So there are things for the sake of time that we have to cut out, and those things may show up here. There may be things that we go, "I really wanted to say this because I think it would be helpful, but it wasn't the most important thing to say." Because, and maybe this is interesting to people, maybe not. Our goal really in the Sunday morning service is not to give you every piece of information on any scripture we teach or any topic thing that we're going into. We're not trying to give you every practical piece of advice we could give to make your life better. What we're often trying to do is we are trying to give people, and Ed mentioned this in the last podcast we were in, this idea of we're trying to give people a vision of who God is, who Jesus is, and what the kingdom is like. And if I can really paint that picture in such a way that you want it, you have the intention for it, then we want to draw you into a community with us where over walking side by side, we can find the means together, as we said in the last one. So this podcast is really going to be closer to the practical side of things than it will be what a Sunday morning sermon is, because, you know, at the time we're filming this, I just preached on we want to be a multi-ethnic church. There are a lot of practical details of how that works out.
Mhm.
But in the sermon I'm doing on Sunday, I don't start with the means. I start with the vision, hope that the Spirit will infuse the congregation with the intention, and we'll together figure out the means.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I see the podcast going forward. I don't know what y'all's thoughts.
Well, and I also wanted to add to that, because we talked about this too, is it does not mean, I think you said this, it does not mean we won't answer your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes those questions that come up, like I mentioned, like I said, when I speak, people will come up and go,
Yes.
"Yeah, it made me think of this situation that you didn't have time to address, or you haven't thought about." And often I'll say, "You're right, I hadn't thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Your perspective is good. I'd like, maybe you and I can talk about that." Well, that's a place. This is a place we can do that on the podcast. So some of that could come from you guys as you hear us talk
Yeah,
about things.
still send in questions.
Send them all in and tell us, "Hey, what about this part of that maybe you didn't understand, or you had a question about?" Someone approached you with a question yesterday
That's right.
that
Yeah.
they were struggling with after the message. All that stuff is valid. So we feel like this would be a good place to hash some of that out. It would be valuable to the people looking in on our church
Yes.
outside, but also valuable to those of you who watch and show up every Sunday. So yeah, I think that's really what you're going to see shift, not just. And when we talked about this too, if you guys send in a bunch of questions, I mean, we might even take full episodes where we just clear out the mailbag, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right.
If
Just
it comes
answer
to
a bunch
that.
of questions.
But the truth, and this is something that you've heard us mention before, the questions you guys have sent in to us, they're not as frequent as they used to be.
That's right.
And so you grabbed some questions off Reddit that we've talked about that
Yes.
somebody didn't send to us. So this would be a chance to us to fill in some of those holes, those
Yeah.
gaps when we didn't have as many questions. So we'll just wait and see. It all kind of depends. So you think that covers everything about what we want to say about the changes?
I think for the most part.
Okay.
I think the truth is you're going to have to see,
Yeah.
starting with the next episode.
That's right.
We're still 3 peas in a pod. It'll be episode 301.
And a new era.
We got a new era.
Like Taylor Swift. We're in a different era now.
That's true. She invented eras.
She did.
There was never an era before her.
Mhm.
What she did do was really shorten what an era meant.
She did.
Yeah.
Because apparently an era means one album.
That's right.
That's right.
Which
About-
comes out
about-
every 8 months.
About an 18-month
Yeah.
period of time
Yeah.
where I dress this way and do this style of music. That's an era.
And it makes lots of money.
And whew,
She's
boy,
pretty
does it.
prolific.
She's
I'll
very
just say.
She got a lot of eras.
Anyway, we'll be in our next era at the next episode, which, do we know when that will drop yet?
No.
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
So it could
It
be.
just depends on when we start filming stuff.
It does. So don't expect next week this to pop back up. It could be a couple. So just give us some patience, and we'll get to you. We'll get to that. So having said all of that,
Hang on, real quick.
All right,
Charlie,
one
did
more
you
thing.
figure out when the first episode was?
Did you?
January 8th, 2020.
Oh, it was 2020. All right, January 8th, 2020. That's
Was it?
the first episode.
See, I thought it was 2019. Okay.
We were in a series called Best Year Ever,
Best
Were
year
we?
ever was
which
the.
turned out
Man,
to be
the worst year.
it was as awesome.
I remember that now.
Just a year.
Because we joked about that. We said it was going to be the best year ever.
Best year ever.
That's great.
It was awesome.
We're prophets.
That's true.
But having said all that, we do have one question that was sent in to us recently that we wanted to get to before we switch into our next era.
Well, but it's a nice little
it's
bridge
also-
because
that's right.
it was based on a sermon we were going to be doing.
It was. So here we go. What can I do to be a service to my sister? She's using mind-altering substances, and then she word vomits. I guess she talks a lot. I want a relationship with my nephews, her sister's kids, but I am so fragile myself. So what would you say to this person struggling with having a relationship with the sister who is seriously dealing with some tough substance abuse issues
Mm-hmm.
and obviously making the relationship difficult because
Right.
it sounds like she maybe talks more than she listens.
Right.
And so this person wants to share more with her sister, be an influence in her sister's life, but maybe can't seem to find a place to fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
So how does someone navigate that difficult? Because that's difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that. Right
Oh,
up front.
yeah.
That's hard.
100%.
Very difficult.
And it added to the difficulty that the person adds, I'm fragile.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, knowing that about yourself is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
right.
That's a really mature place to be
Mhm.
when you understand who you are and what your limits are on this. So good job on that.
So I think what the word you just used, limits, is the right place. I would start with what I think my limits are, what my capabilities are,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't put any shame or allow anybody else to put any guilt or shame on that. Admitting that I need to get stronger so that I can have the kind of influence that I want to have would be the place to start, and getting real clear, which may mean if you're weak yourself, you need to talk to other people who know you well to help you build some limits
Mhm.
that are reasonable. That's where I would start, I think.
Well, the first thought that came to my mind along those lines is if you want to have influence in someone's life, influence is something that is invited by the other person
That's right.
and is wanted by the other person. It's not something that you force onto them.
Yep.
It sounds a lot like when I help people work through parenting challenges a lot. I'll talk about, you want to be an influence, especially older children. You want to be an influence in their life. You just have to understand influence doesn't come first. Relationship comes first.
Right.
And once the relationship is healthy and you exhibit a lot of patience, then you might get invited into an influential type situation with this person. They might listen more to you, or they might ask you for your opinion or your help in certain ways. Once that happens, you step in. But if you try to push your way through that door that is not currently open, you're going to find a lot of frustration, and you're going to frustrate them too.
And you lose influence.
And you start to
Yeah.
lose influence that way because they think, well, all you care about is fixing me, or you think there's something wrong with me. And you can't start from that place. People only receive influence from those who accept them.
Mm.
And so if you can learn how to, and when I say them, I mean them as a person, not them in as their behavior.
Sure.
Right.
You
That's
don't
right.
have to accept bad behavior or mistreatment, but you can accept them as a person. And when they really understand that that is true about you, then influence can come after that,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't go before it.
Yeah.
Usually ever that I've seen.
Yeah, and I don't, so I get kind of piggybacking off that. I don't know that there's a way to ever guarantee you ever have influence in anyone's life, even if you have a really great relationship
That's
with
right.
somebody.
That's
you
right.
know, there are some people it's just the nature of it. Of they, and I think parenting is a good example. I know a lot of adult children who they really do love their parents and they respect their parents, but for whatever reason, they're just like, what they're going to say to me doesn't have much influence.
That's
over me.
right.
And it's
Yeah.
not a sign of disrespect or whatever. It's just that's the nature of whatever is going on.
Sometimes it's a sign that you're too close. You know.
Oh, if the person, just because my mom said it, I got to do it.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
you're what we're talking about is you're talking about a sibling, and
Sure.
sometimes sibling relationships just didn't develop early on in your life to the point where you have that type of relationship. I'm not saying all siblings are this way,
No, that's right.
but a lot of siblings don't have that kind of connection. And it's very difficult to develop it later on in life if you don't start out that way. And so you may never have
Yes.
that kind of relationship with your sister, but you can have a relationship with her.
Yeah, I think
You know?
I try to think a lot about and we've used this before with leadership around our church when we're teaching people, the difference of what's my responsibility to someone versus feeling like I'm responsible for
them.
somebody.
Yes.
And so I really try to think about the people in my life. I want to be honest with the people in my life. And what I mean by honest is I want my desires to be very clear to the other person. So I would say if you've never said to your sibling, hey, I think what's going on is an unhealthy thing. And I do think at some point, I would love for you to, whatever it is, get clean, do this. I do think, I personally think I would want to have that conversation with someone in my life. When it becomes clear, they go, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree. I then at that point go, okay, well, I've done the part I can do.
Well, and there at that point, and this is I'll go back to the fragile part. It's really important that when you do say something, I agree with you, Nathan. I think it's important to say that to a person that you care about. When I have crossed a boundary I shouldn't cross or a limit I shouldn't cross is when their reaction determines for me how I'm going to feel about what I said. You know, if they decide to blow off, I say, hey, I would like for you to get clean. I'd love to help in any way. And they go, man, you're always trying to control me. And then I spend a lot of time feeling like, oh my God, I did something wrong. I should have done. That's their reaction is not in your ball field.
Yeah.
Their reaction
That's an outcome.
Their reaction is just their reaction.
That's right.
And I just need to do what I'm going to do as well as I can do it. But I can do it perfectly and them still react badly.
Yeah.
So that's where I would start on the fragile side. I would make sure I'm at a place where I know myself and I know what I want to do and how much the love I have for them, why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it so that I become the hero of their story.
Right.
I'm doing this. This is what I think I need to say. How you react is how you react.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah. I think it's important, or at least it's been important for me and a lot of people I talk to, is understanding that kind of, we kind of have a phrase in our culture about it, but I don't think that phrase means what I'm about to say. But I can't be everything to everyone. And often what I think many of us mean is like people are trying to take too much from me and I can't do everything. And I think that statement is true. That's not what I mean here. What I mean is not every relationship needs to be one where I'm having to bring hard truth all the time. Not every relationship needs to be one where I'm helping you out of a bad situation. Some relationships are ones where I don't have influence in this person's life. So for example, when there are people who come up to our church occasionally, or there are people I see and they're in a bad situation financially. They might be homeless. They might have another situation. And they come and they ask me, hey, can you get me gas in my car? Hey, can you get me this? The nature of our relationship is not for me to go, now let's talk about your alcohol use, or I'm not saying someone doesn't need to have that conversation with this person.
Right.
But the nature of our relationship, because I just met you, is you ask me for a thing. My response is either I can help with this,
Or I can't.
or I can't, or there's this third thing, I can't get you
Here's an
gas, but
option.
there's another thing. But that's the nature of our relationship. And what's hard for us with many people, and I'll say, because it is this way in sibling relationships, especially once you're adults, is I do love you and I'm so close to you and I'm emotionally connected. When bad things are happening in your life, it does emotionally affect me.
Yes.
But we may never have the kind of relationship where you'll say to me, hey, tell me what to do in this situation and I'll listen and I'll go do
Maybe
it.
not.
And that now, like I said, that doesn't change the fact that if I really, because you were talking to the person in the thing said, I got a nephew involved, and maybe out of love for the nephew as well, there does come a point where I have to say, hey, I see this behavior. Is this causing problems for you? Is this something? But once they become clear, I'm not open to your influence. My job is to love you in a different way. Because all love means is that I will want and I work for what's good for you. Mm-hmm. But I can't want and work for everyone's good in every single situation in the same way. I want good for people, in Ghana right now. But maybe when they come to my mind as they just did, the best I can really do for them is pray for them.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
There's not that doesn't mean I love this person. It just means I don't have the ability. And if there's a person in my life who won't give me influence, maybe loving them in that way means I got to pray for you. Mm-hmm. And as Ed's already said, I still got to put strong boundaries up, especially if I'm fragile and I go, hey, and it may come, and I don't know if this is what it is, but like it may be if fragile for you means you've also struggled with substance abuse stuff, you may have to say,
be very careful.
Yeah, I can't be around you if you're using this. Mm-hmm. I still love you. I'm still praying for you, but for my own health
because remember, you're no good to her if you're not well.
That's right.
So keep yourself well so that if you do have a chance to influence or help, you're there and you're strong enough to help. So be careful.
Yeah, I just think a lot of us, and I think I felt this, and maybe I feel it more than everyone else feels, in the sense that and I think the three of us all have felt this, is as pastors, you see yourself as, I'm a person who's supposed to be guiding people and influencing people. And sometimes it becomes tempting to overstep into other people's boundaries of, well, I know what's right for you and I can fix this for you. If you'll just do what I tell you to do and you'll blah, blah, blah. And that's a weight I can't carry, and isn't really healthy for the other person if they don't ask me for the help. Yeah. Because I really am taking something from them by forcing, as we've said, forcing the influence upon them.
Yeah. Probably the only other thing I'd say, we're wrapping this up, and I feel like I have to say this. So if by your question, because I've been rolling your question around in my head just for a second. So if by your question you are saying your sister is doing drugs, substances to a degree where she is putting herself, and if these nephews of yours are children and they are in danger because of that substance abuse, you need to get the authorities involved.
Yeah.
In some way, that you need to protect those children because they are in an unsafe situation. That may not be what you're asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. But I'm wondering if you were sitting in front of me and I knew who you were and I knew who they were, I might be able to better answer that question. But just know that,
especially when there are other people involved who don't have the power to help themselves, like a child.
Yeah, you need to step in, take care of them, get them protected somehow. So just be aware of that. If that's the situation, if not, flush that. Okay. So next time we're together will be our new format.
So 301.
So
we'll be deep diving into some sermon. But
something that one of y'all or me or somebody's going to say on a Sunday. We'll go deeper into that. So we'll let you know when it's time for you to send us questions in again about those things. If you hear something on a Sunday from here on out and you do wonder about it and you want us to go deeper on that point, the link is always in the description. Send that on and we'll start it up.
Yep.
So we look forward to it. Hope you will too. We'll find out if it's good. And we'll see you next time. Bye.